Hey guys, my name is Cepha and welcome back to another Terraria video. Now, if you're wondering, the reason I'm redoing this video is because I made some big mistakes in the last one, and I can fully respect people getting mad as I didn't go through the mechanics of the weapons and how you get them, and some main weapons which I didn't even include. So for that, I apologize in advance and didn't intend to make anyone mad, and this video is to clear any misunderstandings that were prevalent in my last video. Now, enough of me rambling, let's go through all of the new weapons in this update. So the first weapon I have is called the Terraria. It does 19 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, fast speed, very weak knockback, and unleashes a dicing flurry. So the Terraria can be found in enchanted sword shrines and replaces the Arcalis that was previously found in that area. And this is how much damage it does. So I'm getting about 42 crit. I think I saw 86 right there. So that's the Terraria, and let's get on to the second weapon. So the second weapon is called the Mace. It does 20 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, very slow speed, average knockback material, and can be upgraded with torches. So the Mace can be found in underground chests, in caves, and what it means by can be upgraded with torches is that with 99 torches you can upgrade it to get the flaming mace. So let me test it with the Mace. And I saw, okay, to 34, so that's pretty good. And with the mace it inflicts fire damage, as you can see. So I saw 40 right there, and as you can see it inflicts more damage after. So the third weapon I have is the Storm Spear. It does 13 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, average speed, and average knockback. So the Storm Spear is a desert themed weapon that can be found in oasis crates and can also be found in the underground desert. And it shoots an electric bolt, as you can see, and it pierces through enemies. I'm currently getting 28 and 24, and considering that the base damage is only 13, this makes it a really good weapon in pre-hard mode. So the next three weapons that I have here are pretty similar. This is the Jousting Lance, this is the Hallowed Jousting Lance, and this is the Shadow Jousting Lance. So the Jousting Lance does 63 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, fast speed, insane knockback, and builds momentum to increase attack power. So the Hallowed Jousting Lance does 88 damage and has the same stats as the Jousting Lance, and the Shadow Jousting Lance does 123 melee damage. And as it says here, it builds momentum to increase attack power. What that means is that as the player velocity is higher, the damage it will deal will also be higher. So the only way to show this is to use a mount. So if I use my unicorn mount, and as you can see here, I deal much more, okay, that was kind of a fail. I deal much more damage than what I do normally if I'm stationary, as you can see. So when stationary, I'm currently dealing 7 to 8 damage, which isn't really that good. But when I'm, when my player's velocity is high, I'm dealing much more damage. The same applies with the Hallowed Jousting Lance. I'm getting 178, and the Shadow Jousting Lance, which deals even more damage. So I'll show the recipes for the Hallowed and the Shadow Jousting Lance respectively, so you know how to make them. I've reforged the Jousting Lance to its bed modifier, which is legendary, and currently it does 72 melee damage. And since the Jousting Lance is good with crowd control, let me use it with the Goblin Army invasion to see how fast I can actually kill it. Okay, so they're here. So the next weapon I have is the Gravedigger Shovel, which does 13 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, fast speed, weak knockback, digs in a bigger area than a pickaxe, and only digs up soft tiles. And by soft tiles, it means it digs up dirt and can also dig up gravestones much quicker than normal. And as you can see, I'm digging much more than what a standard pickaxe does. And to get the Gravedigger Shovel, you need 12 iron or lead bars, and you need to craft it in a graveyard biome with an anvil. So the next weapon I have here is the Shroomerang, which does 15 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, it has a very fast speed and does strong knockback. So the Shroomerang is your bog standard boomerang that you normally find, like for example the enchanted boomerang, which is quite similar to this. And to find the Shroomerang, it spawns in gold chests in the glowing mushroom biome, and also has a 1% chance to drop from spore bats. The next weapon I have here is the Hammer Axe. So the Hammer Axe does 34 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, average speed, strong knockback, 150% axe power and 80% hammer power. So as the name suggests, this can be used as a weapon. It can also be used as an axe and a hammer, which makes it a very versatile tool, and as you can see, it does quite a lot of damage, to be honest. And the Hammer Axe is a hammer axe which can be obtained by the Hemogoblin Shark and the Blood Eel during a blood moon. The weapon I have here is a Drippler Crippler. So the Drippler Crippler does 125 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, very slow speed and strong knockback. So the Drippler Crippler is a hard mode item that's dropped by the Blood Eels. And let's try it on a boss, for example the King Slime. And let's see how fast we can take it down. And there you go. So that is the Drippler Crippler, and one thing I like about this is that it shoots out the top part of the flail, which is similar to what the Plantera does in her attacks. So the next weapon I have here is the Gladius. So the Gladius does 17 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, fast speed and extremely weak knockback. So this is what the Gladius looks like, and it's pretty much the upgraded version of the short sword, and it does significant amounts of damage, as you can see here. And the base damage is 17, so this is quite a good weapon for pre-hard mode. The Gladius is dropped by the hoplites, which are in the marble biome. These weapons, believe it or not, are actually new in the new 1.4 update. So this is the orange phase blade and this is the orange phase saber, and they're pretty much the same as the original phase saber and phase blade, but the orange phase blade is made with 15 meteorite bars and amber. The next weapon I have is a Starlight. So the Starlight does 79 melee damage, 12% critical strike chance, very fast speed and weak knockback. And this is what it looks like when in action. It's pretty cool. It can go through walls, it can pierce through enemies, and let's try it on an Eye of Cthulhu to see how fast we can kill it. By the way, this is in expert mode, so it shouldn't be that hard. And there you go. Took less than 5 seconds. Okay, so let's go on to the second batch of weapons. The next batch of weapons that I have are the new mage weapons. So the first mage weapon that I have is the Grey Zappinator, which does 42 magic damage, 4% critical strike chance, very slow speed, average knockback and uses 16 mana. So the Grey Zappinator is a pre-hard mode magic weapon sold by the Travelling Merchant for 15 gold. Things about this weapon is that the laser beams behave erratically, it can pierce the enemy, change speed dramatically, teleport to a new location, which is similar to the Influx Waver. It can spawn in a second beam and deal a massive critical hit of 300. So this is what the Grey Zappinator looks like when in action. And as you can see, the laser beams, you know, move erratically. This one's moving really slow, that one's moving really quick, that one teleported over there, and I just got a critical strike here of 374. So that's the Grey Zappinator, and the Red Zappinator is quite similar. It does 100 magic damage, 4% critical strike chance, very slow speed, average knockback, and uses the same mana as the Grey Zappinator. So the Red Zappinator is the hard mode variant of the Grey Zappinator, which can be bought for 50 gold from the Travelling Merchant. It fires a long light blue beam upon impact, which activates a random effect. It bears the same effects as the Grey counterpart, however dealing much more damage. Wearing meteor armor negates any mana loss from using this, which is useful if you don't have a mana flower. So this is what it looks like. It looks similar to what the Grey Zappinator does. The next weapon that I have here is the Thunder Zapper. So the Thunder Zapper does 12 magic damage, 4% critical strike chance, very fast speed, very weak knockback, and uses 4 mana. So the Thunder Zapper can be found in Oasis crates and the Underground Desert. It launches a fast moving, non-piercing projectile that is unaffected by gravity. Due to the low mana cost, it can be very useful in pre-hard mode. The next mage weapon that I have here is a Stellar Tune, which does 75 magic damage, 24% critical strike chance, very fast speed, no knockback, uses 12 mana, and this is what it looks like. So it makes guitar sounds as you use it, and it deals a lot of damage. So the Stellar Tune is a late hard mode weapon with a 2% chance of dropping from the Empress of Light. It fires a pair of star-shaped projectiles that travel in a wave-like pattern towards the cursor, and it plays an electric guitar tune similar to the magical harp. And that's pretty much what it does. The next weapon is the Bloodthorn. So the Bloodthorn does 29 magic damage, 4% critical strike chance, fast speed, extremely weak knockback, and uses 20 mana. It pretty much shoots protruding spikes from the ground, and this is what it looks like. It deals a lot of damage, and the Bloodthorn is a magic weapon dropped by the Hemogoblin Shark when fishing during a blood moon. The last mage weapon that I have here is the Night Glow. So the Night Glow does 15 magic damage, 4% critical strike chance, very slow speed, very weak knockback, and it uses 26 mana. So I'd recommend using a mana flower with this to make it more efficient. And this is what it looks like. So it homes on the enemies. The Night Glow is a hard mode post Plantera weapon dropped by the Empress of Light. I've got the Night Glow right here, and let's try it on some bosses. So I'm going to try it on the Slime Crown. Where is it? As you can see, it's homing on the slimes and the king slime. Okay, there you go. Let's try it on the Eye of Cthulhu. There you go. The next set of weapons that I have are the new summon weapons that have been implemented in 1.4. So the first one that I have is the Finch Staff, which deals 7 summon damage, weak knockback, uses 10 mana, and summons a baby finch to fight for you. And this is pretty much what it looks like. Okay, there it is. It pretty much sits on your head, and the Finch Staff can be found in Living Wood chests or a starting gate in journey mode. So the next summon weapon that I have is the Blade Staff, which deals 6 summon damage, no knockback, uses 10 mana, and summons an enchanted dagger to fight for you. And this is what the Blade Staff looks like. So the Blade Staff shoots an enchanted dagger. So the Blade Staff is dropped by the enchanted sword mob in the Underground Hallow. The next summon weapon that I have here is the Vampire Frog Staff, which does 11 summon damage, average knockback, uses 10 mana, and summons a vampire frog to fight for you. So the Vampire Frog Staff can be obtained by the Zombie Merman and Wandering Fish Eye, which has a 2.2% chance of dropping. And this is what it looks like when against mobs. So it sticks its tongue out and kills it and jumps really high. So the next weapon that I have here is the Sanguine Staff. So the Sanguine Staff does 35 summon damage, very strong knockback, uses 10 mana, and summons a Sanguine back to fight for you. And this is what it looks like in action. So it's pretty much a bat that fights for you and attacks enemies. So the Sanguine Staff can also be used as a light source, as you can see here. So the Sanguine Staff is dropped by the Dread Nautilus, which has a 25% chance of dropping it. The next weapon that I have here is the Desert Tiger Staff. So the Desert Tiger Staff does 33 summon damage, weak knockback, uses 10 mana, and summons a white tiger to fight for you. And once used, this is what it looks like. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So the Desert Tiger Staff is a post Plantera weapon, which is from the desert chest in the dungeon. Only one tiger can be spawned at a time, and it attacks quickly by pounding towards an enemy and deals significant amounts of damage by latching onto them. It can also pass through blocks to reach a mob. The final weapon that I have here is a Terra Prisma. So the Terra Prisma does 90 summon damage, weak knockback, uses 10 mana, and summons an enchanted sword to fight for you. And this is pretty much what it looks like. So it creates a duplicate of the sword on the player's back. So the Terra Prisma has a 100% drop chance from the Empress of Light during the day, and when used by the player, it creates a duplicate of what the player is holding and starts swinging away at nearby enemies. So I've reforged the Terra Prisma to its best modifier, which is Ruthless, and it currently does 191 summon damage. Also, I'm wearing the Stardust gear, and I've got the Papria Scarab, and I've got the Pigment Necklace for additional minions. And let's see how many we can spawn now. I think that's the max amount of number we can spawn, and let's try it on some bosses. For example, the Eye of Cthulhu, and let's see how fast it kills it. Oh wow, okay. Oh, that was kind of sad, to be honest. Okay, so let's try it on something harder like the Destroyer. Okay, where is it? and it's doing a lot of damage. Oh, and it's nearly gone. There you go. Okay, so let's try on something else like the Skeleton Prime, and let's see how fast it takes it down. Okay, so it's attacking individual parts of the Skeleton Prime, as you can see. It's not going directly for the head. And okay, it's nearly dead. 1 minute. And okay, where is it? Okay, there you go. And let's try it on the twins. Okay, there it is. Okay, so it's attacking the spot specimen first. And it's nearly dead already. Oh god. There you go. So that's the Terror Prisoner. Pretty OP if you have the right gear and the right accessories. You can spawn pretty much the max number, which is really cool. So let's go on to the next batch of new weapons. The next batch of weapons that we have here are the new whips that have been implemented in the new update. So the first whip that we have here is the leather whip. It does 14 summon damage, extremely weak knockback, 4 summon tag damage. Your summons will focus struck enemies, and to get the leather whip it needs to be purchased for 3 gold from the zoologist, and to get the zoologist you need to complete 15% of the bestiary. So the Snapthorn does 18 summon damage, extremely weak knockback, 6 summon tag damage. Your summons will focus struck enemies and strike enemies to gain attack speed. And to get the Snapthorn, you can make it with 12 stingers, 3 vines, 3 jungle spores, and an anvil. The next whip is the Firecracker. It does 40 summon damage, very weak knockback. Your summons will focus struck enemies, strike enemies with blazing energy, and blazing energy explodes from enemies hit by summons. The Firecracker has a 12.5% chance to drop from the wall of flesh. Next whip we have is the Cool Whip. It does 50 summon damage, extremely weak knockback. Your summons will focus struck enemies, strike enemies to summon a friendly snowflake, and the Cool Whip can be made with 8 souls of light and night and a frost core, which is dropped by the ice golems. The next whip that we have is the Durindal, which does 55 summon damage, very weak knockback, 9 summon tag damage. Your summons will focus struck enemies, strike enemies to gain attack speed. And the Durindal can be made with 12 hollow bars at the Mithril or an Orichalcum anvil in hard mode. The next whip that we have is the Dark Harvest. It does 100 summon damage, very weak knockback. Your summons will focus struck enemies, strike enemies with dark energy to gain attack speed, and dark energy jumps from enemy hit by summons. So the Dark Harvest can be dropped by the Pumpkin. The next summon tag weapon that I have here is the Kaleidoscope. So the Kaleidoscope does 189 summon damage, average knockback, 20 summon tag damage, 10% summon tag critical strike chance, and your summons will focus struck enemies. And this is what it's like. So the Kaleidoscope has a 25% chance to be dropped by the Empress of Light. The next summon tag damage weapon that I have here is the Morning Star. So the Morning Star does 207 summon damage, insane knockback, 5 summon tag damage, 5% summon tag critical strike chance, and your summons will focus struck enemies. So this is what it's like. So the Morning Star is dropped in the hard mode dungeon at post Plantera. Using the Snapthorn will inflict poison damage to any nearby enemies. The Firecracker inflicts fire damage to entities, which lights them on fire. The Cool Whip can be used on enemies, and once used it will create a friendly snowflake which will attack any nearby entities. This is what it looks like when the Durindal is used. This is what it looks like when the Dark Harvest is used. As you can see, the Dark Harvest releases dark energy from the mobs. This is what it looks like when the Kaleidoscope is used. As you can see, it can reach really far. Finally, with the Morning Star, this is what it looks like when it's used. It's a bit slower than the other whips, but it does deal the most damage out of all of them. The whips in the game can be used in conjunction with summon weapons. So for example, I've got my Finch staff, and if I use the leather whip on this zombie, for example, it will create a rotating circle, and my Finch will be redirected to the zombie. So this works with any other summoner weapons. So like the other whips, enemies hit by the whip are targeted by your minions. For example, if I use my Finch staff as my minion, which has a base damage of 7, and the leather whip, which deals 4 summon tag damage, the Finch will deal 11 damage. So I've reforged the Firecracker and the Desert Tiger Staff to its best. So the Firecracker currently does 83 summon damage, and the Desert Tiger Staff does 70. So I'm going to spawn the Desert Tiger Staff, and I'm going to use it on the boss with the whip to demonstrate how it's actually used. So I'm going to use it on the King Slime for now. And where's the King Slime? Okay, so you use the whip to direct the summon to the boss, for example, and let me use Eye of Cthulhu. Okay, where's the Eye of Cthulhu? There it is, as you can see, and it's gone. So Desert Tiger Staff, pretty OP, and the Firecracker, since you get it after defeating the Wall of Flesh, it makes it a really good weapon in early hard mode. Here are the new ranged weapons that have been implemented in the new update. So this is the quad barrel shotgun. It does 24 range damage, 4% critical strike chance, very slow speed, strong knockback, and the quad barrel shotgun is a pre-hard mode weapon which can be purchased for 35 gold from the arms dealer whilst he is in a graveyard. It fires a spread of 4 bullets at a 45-degree angle and having twice the spread than a shotgun. Also, it's not auto, and this is what it looks like when using it. With this I'm using chlorophyte bullets, and as you can see, it's pretty cool, and considering that you can get this in pre-hard mode, it makes it a really good weapon. So I've reforged the quad barrel shotgun to its best modifier, which is Unreal, and now it does 28 range damage. So let's try it on a few bosses such as Eye of Cthulhu and the King Slime. By the way, I'm using normal bullets opposed to the chlorophyte bullets I was using before, since this is a pre-hard mode weapon. So let's see how fast we can defeat it. And there you go. The next range weapon that I have here is the Blood Rainbow. So the Blood Rainbow does 14 range damage, 4% critical strike chance, very fast speed, very weak knockback, rains blood from the sky, and a play on words here, raining blood. So this is pretty much what it does, and it's and the arrows are dependent on where the cursor is. So if my cursor is here, it'll shoot there, and if my cursor is here, it'll shoot here. So the Blood Rainbow is a pre-hard mode bow which rains 1 to 3 streams of blood from the sky rather than arrows. The arrows fall dependent on where the cursor is pointing at, and it has a 2.2% chance for dropping from the Wandering Fish Eye or a Zombie Mermaid. And this is what it looks like when using it. Also, whilst using it, you can't be under something or else the rain won't actually target the enemies. The next range weapon that I have here is the Eventide, which does 50 range damage, 4% critical strike chance, average speed, and very weak knockback. And this is what it looks like. So it can pierce, it can pretty much kill anything in its path, and it shoots 5 arrows in colourful rainbows, only if wooden arrows are used as ammo. So the streams can be spread by moving your cursor, and it has a 25% chance of dropping from the Empress of Light boss. And this is what it looks like. So let me spawn in a King Slime to see how long it'll take. So where's King Slime? There it is, and okay, it's not taking that long, and okay, there you go. By the way, this weapon is auto, so you can just keep holding your mouse and it'll keep spreading the arrows everywhere. So the range weapon that I have here is a Superstar Shooter. So I've got it on the Unreal prefix, which is the best that you can get, and it does 80 range damage, 9% critical strike chance, very fast speed, average knockback, and the Superstar Shooter is a hard mode range weapon that fires fallen stars and is the upgraded version of the Star Cannon. It can be purchased for 50 gold from the Traveling Merchant after defeating a mechanical boss, and the stars shot from the weapon summon an extra projectile upon contact with an enemy, hitting them again. So I'm going to be testing the Superstar Shooter on some bosses, so let's test it on the Eye of Cthulhu and see how fast we can actually kill it. There it is, and as you can see, there's extra projectiles that are hitting it. and it's already nearly done. And oh, there you go. Okay, so let's try it on something else, the king slime. Okay, and it's nearly halfway done, and it's nearly done. Alright, okay. So the Superstar Shooter, really good weapon, although really expensive. It's worthwhile pretty much to get the upgrade than it's a star cannon. So the final range weapon that I have is Celebration MK2, which does 40 range damage, 4% critical strike chance, insanely fast speed, extremely strong knockback, and 50% chance to not consume any ammo. And this is what it looks like in action. It looks pretty crazy, to be honest. And the Celebration MK2 is a hard mode post-Moon Lord weapon that fires varying number of rockets which are affected by gravity. It's an upgraded version of the Celebration and has an 11% chance of dropping. So I've got the Celebration MK2 to its Unreal prefix, which now does 46 range damage. So now let's try it on some hard mode bosses such as the Destroyer. The final weapon that I have here is the Zenith. So the Zenith does 216 melee damage, 22% critical strike chance, average speed, and strong knockback. So the Zenith is a hard mode post Moon Lord weapon which also swings and pierces through enemies that is crafted using a number of swords used to progress through the game. To craft it, you need the Terror Blade, Meowmere, Star Wrath, Influx Waver, Horseman's Blade, Seedler, Enchanted Sword, Star Fury, and finally the Copper Short Sword. And this is what it looks like. So I've reforged the Zenith to its best prefix, which now does 248 melee damage. So now let's try it on some hard mode bosses to see how fast we can kill them. Oh wow, that was quite quick. Thanks guys for watching this video. If you did find it interesting and informative, remember to subscribe and also give it a like. And I do apologise for any misunderstandings that were caused in my previous video on where I covered this topic. I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.